Good morning, everyone. It's Patricia Hayes here with Coffee Time Career Chat. How are you guys doing today? We make sure we got you guys up live and in person. Let's see. There we go. And we will make sure to share it with some folks. There we go. Awesome. There we go. All right. How are you guys doing today? I'm so glad to be here. Good morning. It is time for coffee chat. Make sure you got your good coffee cup and everything going. I'm super excited to be back this week. For those of you who are joining for the first time, just a reminder, my name is Patricia Hayes. I'm an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And all that means is that, my zone of genius is helping other people to take a look at their careers, figure out who they need to connect with, leverage their existing relationships, build on them, and extend all of this in an authentic way that's completely genuine and natural to them, while also remaining true to your core values and beliefs. And I love doing it. And we're here with Coffee Time Career Chat. Still going strong as a method of being able to connect during these times when our natural in-person connections had been limited. So here we are. And this month, we are closing in on the end of this month, and our conversation has been about setting a clear direction. And this week, we are talking about leadership again, and specifically how leaders clear the way. So that is today's theme. We're talking about how leaders clear the way. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to revisit our definition of leadership so that you can know how we have been framing it whenever we discuss leaders and leadership during coffee chat times. And really what is we've simplified it down to this. Leaders inspire, they motivate, they direct, and they guide. And they do all of this for others to help them get engaged in an action. So whether that is somebody who is, a CEO of a multi-billion dollar company, or whether it is your admin who is managing you really well, leaders do not have titles, okay? People with positional leadership have titles. However, leaders can come in any shape, form, can be at any rank, because if you have the ability to influence, let's not forget about that word influence when it comes to leadership, because that's really what it's about, is if you have the ability to influence others to take action and to guide them along a certain path, then you are engaging in leadership activities. And so you got to be able to exercise and strengthen that leadership muscle. And so the bottom line is leaders set the pace and the path for how not just they go, but how the people around them go, whether it's your team, whether it's a department that you lead, or whether, again, if you are part of if you're a volunteer in an organization, but you're helping to guide a certain project or whatever that might be. So when you're thinking about that in the context of setting a clear path and clear direction for your career, think about it also in terms of how you're doing that as a leader, or how you can be doing that as a leader moving forward. And there, I always have 3 or 4 different points. The first one is vision. Leaders have vision. And don't get it twisted. People think that it's just about, you think about vision boards and all of that, and that it's about dreaming. Vision is way beyond a dream, okay? Vision has some meat to it, all right? And vision is the ability, I love this definition I found. Vision is the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. I want to say and wisdom, because I think you probably need a little bit of both. But think about that. It's more than dreaming, because a dreaming, we're like, oh man, I really dream. I really wish I would love to go on a month-long tour to Italy. Okay. Y'all know my obsession with Italy. And so that could be a dream. But how does that become part of a vision? Well, if my vision, let's say, is to be an international speaker, and one of the places that I get to speak at is in Italy, man, look what I just did there, right? I'm planning for the future. I want to be creative about it, right? Having the imagination. And then the wisdom of it's like, okay, I'm going to start laying out a plan, which we'll talk about in a second, about how to get there. So remember that leaders have vision. This is much more than daydreaming. This is about aligning who you are and what you do with a specific way of thinking, and how, with some plan of how you get there, and not being afraid to be creative about how you do it, but also acknowledging there may be some pitfalls along the way, right? And so you got to be thinking about, that's that wisdom piece of like, how will I address the challenges? Now, I may have jumped ahead a little bit on some of the points, but it all builds in and ties back up. And so think about, what is your vision for your career? What is your vision for what it is you're trying to do? If you're building a business, if you are achieving a new project of some sort, whether it's for work or whether it's for personal, think about what is the vision that you have for achieving this, okay? And make sure you write it down. You know how I am. Handy dandy notebook, your journal, and make sure to write it down, okay? That's number one. Number two, next level. Leaders absolutely engage in strategic thinking, period. Now, I found a lovely little textbook definition of strategic thinking, and then I'm going to give you my definition, all right? All right, so the textbook version is that in its simplest form, it is the ability to plan for the future, okay? Pretty simple. But going beyond that, it is the capacity to prepare strategies and conjure up ideas that will both cope with changing environments and consider the various challenges that lie ahead. That's a lot, right? We're going to break it down, because here's the thing. My definition of strategic planning is this. First of all, no retreats are required. A lot of times we think about strategic thinking, strategic planning. We think, oh, we have to go away and have a retreat, which is ideal, right? Because the point is to separate yourself from your everyday situations so that you can focus. That's what it's really about, is the ability to focus. But you don't have to go away for that retreat. But what it does require, if you're not able to get away for a retreat, but it does require moving past what is in front of you. Think about that. When you're planning strategically, when you're thinking strategically, you're not just focusing on what is right in front of you. In fact, you're taking a much bigger picture, a bigger picture view. You hear those terms, a 40,000 foot view. That's exactly what we're talking about here. And this allows leaders to lay out a plan based on what they see at the 40,000 foot level. Now, look, let's mesh together my definition and the textbook one. They align. We're talking about focusing. We're talking about planning for the future. We're talking about preparation and thinking about strategies and those ideas. And here's the key part. Doing it so that you're looking at what the changing landscape may be that you can only see when you're at that 40,000 foot, right? When you're down here on the ground, you may not be able to see that 5 miles down the road, there's a hole in the way. There's a hole in the middle of the road. But when you're at the 40,000 foot level, you can see that, all right? And then consider the various challenges that lie ahead. So when you're thinking more strategically and you're taking a bigger picture, a much more view from a different level, you may be able to see those pitfalls and to make plans for them. Now, are you going to see everything? Absolutely not. However, you won't see anything if you don't take the time to think about it. Okay? You have to take the time to think about it and plan it and take a look of what are the possibilities of what can happen here. And then being prepared for them as best you can at that time, or acknowledging and knowing that you may need to pivot along the way. All right. So that's that strategic thinking piece that leaders engage in and that you can incorporate into your work right now today. All right. Number 3 is leaders take action. Bottom line. It does no good to lay out this beautiful vision, to do all this strategic planning and thinking, and then let it sit there. That's the equivalent of creating a roadmap and then putting it on the shelf and doing nothing with it. That is not what you want to do. Leaders take action. They move forward. Okay, regardless of what lies ahead. Sometimes that means you're taking a risk, and a lot of people are very uncomfortable with risk. But if you want to up level in your career, if you want to gain more respect as a thought leader, as an expert, or whatever, it's probably going to require you to take some risk at some point or another. Now, some people's level of risk may be stepping in front of a camera and speaking. That's risky for them. Other people may be deciding whether or not to invest $1 million in a project or a company. That's a totally different level of risk, but it's still risky. The issue is, are you being open to the potential risk in order to move forward and take the action that needs to occur in order to move your goal forward, in order to achieve your plan, whatever it is you're trying to do? And remember, this sounds so simplistic, but leaders lead. It's like you can't be a leader if there's nobody following. And so that's that thing. When you are stepping out, people see you. They observe that. They watch that. And they're like, well, if Patricia's willing to take that risk, maybe there's something there and I need to take a look at it and consider moving forward as well. Okay? That's what leaders do. Sometimes you're a leader. And again, this is not positional leadership, but sometimes you're a leader and you don't even realize it until after the fact. When you recognize that, or people come to you and say, I saw you do X and I decided it was worth me taking the chance to do that as well. Man, those are the powerful things that can come as a result of you taking leadership in your own life and in your world, because you then spread your level of influence in ways that you have no idea are possible. Okay? So remember, you have to take action. You have to move. Okay? And that's how leaders continue to clear the way. So what have we said so far? Leaders have a vision. They engage in strategic thinking, and they take action. And last but not least, because this is the umbrella for all of it, leaders must engage in thought time. And this is beyond strategic thinking, right? I'm talking about sitting back and listening and reading and watching and observing and taking things in to process it so that you can dump it into all of that vision and strategic thinking and action that that's going to take place. I remember, and I've shared this story a number of times, when in one of my former positions that my CEO, my boss, I would come in on, most often Monday afternoons, but any afternoon right around 1 or 2, right after lunch. And I would go in and he'd be sitting on his couch in his office, sitting back, looked like he was just chilling, reading a book, reading the paper. And I'd be like, oh, sorry. He's like, no, come on in. Or sometimes he'd get invited in, right? And he'd just start bouncing ideas off. Or he'd start talking, like he'd answer my question or whatever I had. Then he'd start asking me questions about something completely unrelated. What do you think about X? Or what about blah? And I'm like, okay, Gage. And I would go back to my office. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much work to be done. Like, what is he doing? It took me a while to realize. And I was like, man, that is so powerful. that was not him sitting back chilling and like just, taking a lovely little coffee break, while this huge organization just continues to run around him. No, that was him taking time to think. There's probably some strategizing going in there, but this was his ability, time to think. Whether he learned, by engaging and learning, when he'd read, he'd be reading something, a book, by reading, catching up on the news in certain ways. So maybe it applies because, hello, I'm thinking, you're just reading the Wall Street Journal just so you can keep track of your personal stocks. But it's like, no, you're also keeping track of how it's going to affect these institutions that you're running. Okay. So this is the thing. We all can gain extreme value from taking time to set aside to engage in thought time. Y'all know I'm an advocate of thought time. It is so powerful when you do. I always encourage you to do it with a notebook nearby. Whether you're reading the latest book that you've been wanting to keep up on, whether you're watching, for me, it's catching up on the South by Southwest sessions from last week. There were some powerful ones. One where I had to go grab some paper. I wasn't prepared. I violated my own rule and I did not have a notebook nearby. So there I am grabbing a notepad and taking notes very quickly because it ended up being such a powerful session that I wanted to capture it right then and not have to go back. Okay, this is the thing. Thought time can be planned, like I just described with my old boss. It's pretty much planned. It was part of his schedule. It's part of his plan. Sometimes thought time can be a surprise, right? It can catch you off guard. Where you're maybe engaging in something, you're engaging in a conversation, or you just got off of a phone with someone and it makes you go, and you need to start like kind of processing and thinking about it. I highly encourage you planning it, you scheduling it into your day, while also being prepared and open to receive thought time as it comes up during the course of the week in unexpected ways. Either way, it's valuable, and that you need to take the time to pause, to engage in it, to receive what's being delivered in terms of information, in terms of process, in terms of awareness. Okay? So those are the 4 things that you want to make sure that you consider as a leader who's clearing the way for others who are coming up behind you. What's your vision? Have you clarified it? Defining it, mold it, okay? Setting it in place. Knowing that visions can shift and change, but you have to have one in order to change one, okay? What's the vision? Laying out some strategic thinking and engaging in strategic planning, especially in the way that we're talking about. Taking that 40,000 foot view so that you can have a bigger picture idea of what's going on in your world and with the things that you are seeking to affect, okay? And then thirdly, taking action in order to move forward on what it is that you're doing. And finally, making sure to engage in the thought time that's necessary to help feed all of that process that we just talked about. And that is it. That is it. That is our coffee time career chat for today, where we've discussed leaders clearing the way. Thank you so much for joining. I want to encourage you that if you're catching this live, that on Tuesday, March 23rd, I am hosting a networking masterclass that is the building profitable professional relationships that last. Super excited about hosting that. It's been a minute, so come join. It's free. Just click on the link that's in the comments or in the bio, and you can get registered. That's all I ask, is that you register to do it so that you can follow up, get the workbook, make sure you get the Zoom link, all of that good stuff. And as always, if you want to chat about things that are going on in your professional career and the transitions that you may be engaging in, just give me a call, send me a message. We'll get you on the calendar to have a little content, a little chat about what your needs are and how potentially we might work together. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.